Welcome to FIRA USA, the Yolo County Fairgrounds Edition, or as we call it, version 3. Big thanks to the FIRA USA sponsors for supporting our event, making this happen. We have 8 startups looking to pitch today and impress the judges. The winner will be announced Thursday at noon right here in this room. My name is Walt Tuflock. I'm the SVP of Innovation for Western Growers. Our 2,000 plus members of Western Growers are the large fruit, nuts, and vegetable growers on the Western region, and they want startups like this to just happen faster, right? Make them commercialize faster, get them fundraising, get them through the funnel faster. So it's always exciting to see pitch decks because it indicates progress and where things are going. So, show of hands before we get started. Will the investors that are here please raise your hands? Okay, pretty good investor turnout. Well, thank you for coming, investors. Obviously, you're a big part of making this thing work. And with that, I'm going to let our other judges get a chance to introduce themselves. So face the crowd, and then whoever's got the mic. Michael, I see you've got it. Stand up, face the crowd, and introduce yourself. This is the judge panel. Michael.
I'm Michael Rose with Better Food Ventures. We're a seed investor in entrepreneurs using digital technology to improve our food system.
Hi, Trevor Seek. I'm with Rabobank, where I work on the Food Bites team, focusing on emerging technologies and innovations to support food and ag. Happy to be here.
Hi again, my name is Bijoy. I'm with Fulcrum Global Capital. We're an early stage ag tech VC based out of Kansas City, investing at the Series A stage and looking at ag tech robotics as one of our core thesis areas.
Hi guys, I'm Connie Bowen. At Farmhand Ventures, we are a pre-seed, a little bit of seed stage investor. We do 250K checks, so real early stage. We focus on the future of work, and we focus on solutions that make ag better for the people who do the work.
Hi, Alex Rusmano. I'm with AGCO in our corporate venture capital group, AGCO Ventures, and really happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, keep that down there. So the way this will work, we've got our first presenter will come in remotely via Zoom, unfortunately, but that's how it worked out. And then the other 7 will be here live in person at the podium. We're going to do 4 of them, take a 15-minute break, and then finish off with the last 4. So we're going to start the proceedings with Ricard Pardell, CEO and founder of Agricola AI. Ricard, welcome, and you have 6 minutes, and then we'll have 3 minutes of judge Q&A after that. Hang on, Ricard.
There we go. Give them up.
It's not working?
There you go.
Is it fine now?
Yes. There you go. Yep, he's good.
Okay. Hello, good morning. Thanks to the organization, to FIRA, to give us the opportunity to have this presentation, to pitch our company. I had a little accident and I couldn't join there, so I'm pitching from Barcelona. Okay. So Agricola is a brand new company, has been incorporated on March this year, but we are progressing quite fast. So I'll share my presentation.
Go ahead and try again. Go ahead and try again.
I'm sorry, we're having some problems because I have to use my left hand. I'm not used to it. I'm sorry.
Go ahead and try again.
Okay.
Let's pull up his PowerPoint and you can show.
Yeah, no. Okay, sorry.
It's not his. That's not his. That's not his.
Yeah, it's coming.
He's sharing his. He's sharing his. He has his now.
Okay. So, Agricola AI. Our mission is to help eradicate pesticides and reduce the carbon footprint of agriculture. So we use AI and robotics. This, you know that 2.6 million tons of chemical pesticides are thrown to the environment every year. And this affects human health and biodiversity. And our sector contributes to 1/3 of global emissions. So what we propose is our Janus crop protection system. Our crop protection system is actually, it has two phases. Our cloud system, we call it Nimbus, our cloud system that is continuously updating the information of our customer's farm. So we have a digital twin of the farm, which is on the cloud. And this digital twin holds data coming from several sources, and particularly from our fleet of autonomous robots. Our robots, Wagus, in our first generation, they will use proprietary technology for fungicide protection using ultraviolet radiation with an advanced design of photonics actuators, which enable using this UVC radiation in the open with complete safety. After this, we plan to develop a novel laser weeding system, which we expect to have in the market next year. And also we will develop advanced scouting capabilities that we plan in the future, together with this data that we will have in Nimbus, be able to deliver pest and disease detection and prediction capabilities. Our business model, I would say, is a bit different than usual. We want to charge our customer per hectare, per acre. So the objective is to provide a crop protection service. We see our rovers as just a means to go to that end. So we aim at selling our robots at cost and do our business with this subscription and usage model, as software as a service model. You know, the market size is very large. We focus on vegetables and permanent crops. This segment of the market spends 34 billion per year on crop protection. And we think that if we can accomplish our ambitious program, this company can be can have a turnover close to $1 billion in the future. Our short-term roadmap, let's say, the next, what we have done this year and what we will do next year. So long we have developed our first version of this Nimbus system, of this cloud system. We are now finishing the development of the robots. Everything has been already tested on simulation. And we have signed a contract with IRTA, which is an agronomic institution in Catalonia, in my country. And they will test our solution in testing fields end of this year. So we expect to end the year with this first version of our product, with this MVP tested by independent scientific institutions. Then we have 5 letters of intent signed with several customers, worth 3,000 hectares, worth 300,000 euros of turnover, of recurrent turnover. And we expect to start executing these pilots beginning next year. And then next year, we also expect to do a fundraise, and with this money, develop the market and develop new products. As I said, the laser system, and the scouting capabilities. So long we have founded the company, we have been awarded an important grant from the Catalan government, and then with these resources, we have recruited a team which is already of 6 people, and we, as said, expect to have a minimum viable product ready for the beginning of next
20
year.
seconds.
We are asking for 670,000 euros, our
10 seconds.
seed round, for these objectives I told you. So thanks for your time, and if you're interested in this seed round, let's have a call.
Okay, thank you, Ricard. Judges, we have about a minute and a half for questions if anyone has one.
Hey, Ricard, this is Michael. I just have a quick question. You seem to be offering the software almost like an FMS scouting capability and the hardware. Can you explain why you feel you need to be doing both instead of just one or the other?
Well, our vision is that we need to do both, because I've been working on this sector already for since 2018, and I've seen many robotic companies not succeeding, not convincing farmers to adopt robotics. And you know that there has been several cases of companies that had an autonomous solution falling back to a tractor solution. So I fully believe that the future is on autonomy, but in order for these autonomous machines to really be useful, they need to integrate it with the farm management systems. And that's part of our objective. So I fully believe that we need to do both things.
2 more, minute and a half or so.
Okay, final question, or are we good? Good. Bijoy?
Flick it on.
Hello? Okay, great. This is Bijoy. Can you talk a little bit more about the team that you have in place that's running this?
Yeah, so let's say I founded the company, then Isaac joined us at the beginning. Isaac is quite experienced on cloud computing and artificial intelligence in the cloud, let's say. While I was CTO at Earth Rover, my previous job, and I have previous experience as entrepreneur. So this is my third startup. So let's say Isaac and me, we are the senior part of the team. I am right now doing the CEO and the CTO job, and Isaac is doing the CEO and COO part of the job. And then we have a team of four young engineers. Let's say we have 2 robotics engineers and 2 software engineers. Let's say we have half of the team developing the cloud software and half of the team developing the robotics system.
Thank you. That's our time.
Okay, great. Ricard, thank you. Glad we were able to make this work.
Hi everyone, my name is Rahul. I'm from Harvested Robotics. We are a company from India. So what we're trying to build at Harvested is robotic weeding technology for farm tractors. Now, millions of farmers lose crops every year just because of weeds alone, and India faces a loss of $11 billion every year. And these are the couple of emails that we get from our farmers that labor shortage is a major issue when it comes to weeding. Now, weeds account for almost 33% of the crop losses. Now, if you don't do weeding properly, you can increase diseases. It becomes very hard to harvest and resulting in a very low crop yield. Now, how are farmers doing weeding today? Either hire labor to hand pull those weeds out, which is costing almost $100 per acre, and it's just one time, or they use chemicals, which is an overdosage per plant. And farmers in India are spending almost $70 per acre, and they have to repeat this almost 3 times in a season. Now, what is our solution? Our solution is simple. We have cameras and sensors to analyze the farm, and then we run an AI to detect what are weeds and what are not weeds, along with the point of emergence. And then we shoot it with lasers. And now our product is called Rakshak, which means to protect in Hindi. We have AI that detects weeds and lasers to shoot them. We have, as of today, for more than 90% detection rate, and we're almost touching 95% in the next 3 months. And this is purely on Indian weed data sets. And Indian weeds vary from kilometers to kilometers, and geography to geography, and crop to crop. So we build the entire database from scratch. We have almost 160 watts of laser power, 5 millimeter accuracy, and the entire system is a 3-point linkage. And we can burn each weed in 0.5 seconds, which means that we can do almost 120 weeds per minute. And we get down the weeding cycles to less than 3 using our technology. And the best part is that we can support tractors as low as 30 HP, and we are trying to work with even 10 HP tractors. And the entire system is PTO driven. So this is the before and after result, and we work with very high weed pressure. And this is almost an 8-inch diameter weed. We have concentrated the light on the stem point for less than a second. And we can see the result after 28 days. We can see that the weed doesn't grow back again. So the main value of a product is simple. 0 chemicals, 0 soil disturbance, and more importantly, we're reducing your weeding cycles on your farm by 50%. Now, in terms of savings to the farmer, now let's say a farmer owns an acre of groundnuts, which has medium to high weed density. Using our platform, he just does twice weeding. It's an acre takes 2 to 3 hours with multiple runs. And the number of people is hiring is 1 to 2 people to drive his tractor. And the total cost using our platform is almost $140 for the entire season. That's almost a 70% savings as compared to manual or chemical weeding. We sell the implements through dealerships in India. So it's priced at $10,000 for the entire implement, which is a 6-feet implement. And we have an annual maintenance of $300, which helps us to keep the models up to date, the new weeds, and also the, which covers the mechanical aspect. And this can be done at the dealership itself. So we are building India's biggest crop data bank. So every time the machine runs, we get the data back to us using the cellular SIMs in the machines. And we give health report to the farmers. It's more of an antivirus scan for your farms. So it's going to cost you $1 per acre or $30 per month to do the analytics. So we are mainly targeting in India right now because there's no one else doing it in India in laser weeding. So it's almost $11 billion loss to India every year because of weeds. So we mainly focus on large-scale farmers who own more than 7 acres in India and tractor owners. And we are currently targeting 3 major crops: stevia, groundnut, soya, and potato are the major crops that we're starting out with. In terms of a competition, there are only 9 companies globally trying to solve this issue by using lasers. And we are towards the small to medium scale farmers, and we are doing the laser weeding in that sector. How are we different from the competitors? Is number one is our technology is very different. We are based out of a diode-based technology, which we have patented. We can cover 3 acres per day. Our implements are much smaller, which is only 6 feet, and which is modular. You can keep adding on to cover much more area. And we can do 30 HP tractors minimum. And we have a very low maintenance. Our machines can last up to 7 years without replacing the lasers. And we don't require any liquid cooling solutions, nothing. It can run, our chillers make sure the lasers are cool as low as 20 degrees on a 40 ambient temperature. And the machine is $10,000 as compared to $1 million implements which are out there. And also we are much lighter. We just weigh less than 100 kgs. And as of today, we have almost 50 farmers in India who are waitlisted. And we have just collected 40,000 images from actual farms, but this number has gone up. And we got a lot of interest from farmers. We are testing out also with NBDT. It's a dairy company in India, which is a government agency. So we are doing with fodder crops to test it out for the cattle. We are trying with oats and a bunch of other fodder crops. And the Indian farmers love us. They can't, they're just asking us every day to get the implement as soon as possible on their farms. And recently, we just raised around a 600K just a couple of weeks back before coming here. So using in the next 18 months, we'll have almost 500 acres in India covered. We'll get it certified by the agriculture universities in India, so we can have subsidy. The government can help us to get the price down. And also, we'll have almost 20 million images in the next 10 months. And we'll be having 50 machines deployed in India. And yeah, this is our team. So it's me and George are the co-founders. We've got a really cool, advisors from Mahindra and Intel who help us out. And our engineering team is from NUS, NTU, and also we got Abib from Africa who has worked on farming tech, so he helps us out. And that's harvested. Happy to answer any questions. Hi.
Hello. Hi. Thanks so much. So you're building this database from scratch in India, and so I know you have ambitions of kind of scaling beyond. But what other kind of value is being added from that database that you've built?
So the analytics, we are actually monetizing the data and we're selling to other companies. We are planning on selling this data to tractor OEMs so they can make different tractor sizing for different farm environments. And also in India, it's mainly it is crop specific implements that are being made. So we sell them those data. We're also planning on selling these seedling data to some of the chemical companies so they can modify their genes. And mainly these are where we monetize the data.
Put his logo back up. He's got 10 minutes with his logo. He needs his logo back up.
Yeah.
He gets that full time.
Farmers are more than happy to share the data with us. It's only the farming data. They're okay with it, as long as we can make the machine much more faster. Mainly the data what we use is to make our machine much more faster. Now let's say it does 3 hours. In the next run, we can get down to maybe 2.5 hours or 2 hours. So it helps us to do that, and farmers are very okay with this. And because we speak to farmers on a daily basis every day, and they come and they ask us, can you come to our field tomorrow and grab data?
Yeah, quick question. So your machine, it sort of has a long horizon of use for the end user, right? How is your model sort of growing and learning to scale throughout that horizon?
Okay, so you wanted to know how much do we make and how much do we sell it for?
1 minute.
No, your model, your model for precision, how is that growing and learning as you scale?
So in terms of the precision, as of today, we are just over 95%. And with almost 20 million images in the next 10 months, we will touch 99% in terms of detection rate. And in terms of targeting accuracy, we'll touch on 3 millimeters. And then we can do, the more modules you can add, we can also hit almost a 2 km/h speed.
So you're starting in the Indian market right now, and you have those 4 crops that you identified. What's next? What crops are you doing, and what other markets are you going to expand to?
So right now, we are mainly focusing on these 3. So from a wait list of customers, the major crops are groundnut, soya, stevia, and potato. These are the major crops that we're mainly targeting in India. But we can expand to lettuce, spinach, all the green vegetables, vegetable crops. And also, there's another new market that we have seen, is that I can just show you a quick video.
That's our time.
So they have a handheld version that we are building. So that costs less than $2,000. So we can expand that into tea estates and rubber estates.
Good afternoon. Here you see one of the first of the minimal viable product of our mechanical weeding robot. And on the left you see the manual weeders. They are laying on the weeding beds head first to do the picking in the organic farming. And this is what we plan to replace. So one-on-one first, we focus on organic farmers, helping them with the weeding of the fields. But we already see quite a market pool also coming from the chemical conventional farmers that are now forced to reduce the amount of chemicals. And also the list of active ingredients that can be used is further being diminished, at least with us here in Europe, in the Netherlands. There's great ambitions, although they are a bit reduced, about the farm to fork strategy and the Green Deal, whereby ambitions are that up to 25% of all the fields should become organic. So there's a huge market opportunity for us there. Here you see the strenuous work of having to do this weeding by hand. This is in the field of carrots. We do carrots now and onions and chicory. This is our main technology. So this is the autonomous implement. This consists of a detection and removal unit. If you give it 24 volts and drag it over the field, it will start to do the weeding. So we are looking for OEMs and system integrators that want to use our autonomous implements and integrate it into their machines. It has an active learning system, so this means that if the robot starts to doubt about a certain detection, if the probability of its detection starts to drop, then it will send the images and for reconfirmation by the farmer, and then we can retrain the detection so it can become much more robust. Also, we've created quite a simple carrier. This carrier is just following the crop rows, and it's turning around with the IMU. So this is like the sensor you have in your phone. So we can see that we made a 180 turn, and if we see again the crop row, we just continue. So it can operate 24/7, day and night, without any required operator on site. Additionally, we can now teleoperate it. So we can also restart it or pause it if there's a really heavy rain, and then we can continue again when the field is clear again from the patches of water. Here you see a bit of the robot with 3 weeders inside. Our standard is for 2 weeders on 75 centimeters. And if you want to have more capacity, you can put in multiple of these robots, so to keep your fields clean in due time. As this farmer is doing in Lelystad. This is the heart of the Netherlands where we are located. Here you see the system in action. So we really focus on the crop row to remove the last bits of weeds. So we are not planning to replace a hoeing device. It's really one-on-one replacing manual labor first. Our mission is to really accelerate the transition to sustainable agriculture by now providing the solution for organic farmers and offer the solutions already to conventional chemical farmers as well. We start the first pilots there. Farmers still use their herbicides before emergence, but then they are going to use the robot after emergence. Over time, we want to tackle the worldwide organic farming market, but we start first within the EU with our solution, and we see a lot of opportunities to also offer the weeder for different type of cultivations and for different type of crops. As said, one-on-one, we are competing now with hand weeders. In the Netherlands, it's very hard to find staff. It's getting more expensive. Housing is an issue. We all know the challenges around managing and motivating people. The precision sprayers, this is a step that we leapfrog by going directly into fully mechanical removal. And I said, precision hoeing is not something we want to replace. If you compare it with lasers, these are quite heavy machines that require a lot of energy. They compress the soil, which is also threatening the biodiversity and the fertility of the soil. Let me wrap up. I think I already got the cue of the last minute, I believe. This is the team. We have a great team, and we are working together with Wageningen University, Kubota, and we are open to start collaborating also with you here in the US. We are now closing a funding round, but for the next round we are open also to collaborating with you. But ideally we can start the pilots by providing our implements to whomever wants to integrate it into their machines. Thank you very much.
That is time.
So, Mike, nice presentation. Thank you. Just a quick question. You talk about it being inexpensive, and you separated the carrier from the weeder.
Yes, it's a modular system.
And so, is the low COGS on that is because of the simplicity of the carrier and all your intelligence and capabilities are in the weeder, and that's what keeps the cost down?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then, as a follow-up question, how much of the market do you see you providing the weeder to folks with their own carrier versus your own complete unit with both carrier and the weeder?
We now created the carrier to really get it into the market, show it that it's working. But yeah, this is creating our own carriers is not very scalable. So also, if you would invest in us, yeah, we are the most scalable solution, as we really want to offer these implements, and we are really the easiest to implement. It will only needs 24 volts. No. Oh, now it's working.
Building on that, can you just elaborate on the integration plan as you go B2B, both on a hardware and software perspective?
Yeah, so the tooling is consisting of also a module or how do you call this, connectivity. So we offer connectivity to the tool, thereby we can also log into the system and we can update the system also with new models. And this is a very scalable system, so you can put, for instance, multiple in a row behind the tractor or yeah, what you require. And we can update it over the air. And the intelligence is really in the implement itself. So we use, for instance, visual odometry, so we can see how fast we go, and the picker can keep up, and also tell the carrier you slow down if there's a lot of weeds, or you can go a bit faster.
1 minute.
One last question, maybe? Yeah. The weed detection, we do carrots, onion, and chicory now, and there we are on above 95%. If you compare it with manual weeders, we are just as good as manual weeders, but better in the early stage and a bit worse in the later stage. So you would need the robots, you would put it to work before you normally would send in the manual weeders, yeah, to keep the fields clean. All right, thank you very much.
All right, I'm Bart Peintner. I grew up on a sorghum and wheat farm in western Kansas. And then I moved to Silicon Valley for about a decade and a half, working on AI products, AI research. But now I'm back to ag and feeling good about it, working on some key problems faced by my family and my friends back in that part of the United States concerning giant row crops. So I'm joined with my partners Blaine and Peter here on this journey. So we're focused on two key problems for these Midwestern farmers. The first is waste. Over half of the herbicides they spray are not needed. More than half of the fertilizers they put down don't reach the plant. So if we can solve these problems, we can save them a lot of money and save the environment as well. The reason they put down too much is they don't have knowledge of what's in the soil, so they don't know what's left and what's needed. And we can help with that with continuous soil sampling. The other big problem is the size of the equipment. Buying this large equipment is a financial risk in and of itself. It's also a physical risk. I had a friend die from a farm accident. I had multiple friends lose fingers. The danger is real. And so we can help solve this with much smaller equipment that can't hurt anyone. The way we're approaching it is by applying small autonomous robotics plus AI to optimize the growth of these row crops. So first, we're putting out an autonomous weeder for corn, sorghum, soybeans, cotton, wheat. And while we're doing this continuous autonomous weeding, which is killing the weeds before they produce seed, we are continuously doing soil sampling so we can develop a continuous picture of what's going on beneath the soil. We upload that data along with yield information, along with fertilizer strategies to build an internal or a centralized machine learned model that will tell us exactly what fertilization is needed to optimize the growth of those row crops. As a side benefit, the farmer gets this high-resolution view of what's going on beneath their soil, which is going to power a lot of other decisions. So from the farmer, this makes sense financially from the beginning. So once they do weeding and fertilization with our approach, they start to save $160 per acre, which is about 20% of the revenue that they get from those acres. Beyond the financial incentive, though, they get control back of their time. They don't have to sit on a sprayer for 12 hours a day. And they make a much better environment so that their kids will take over the farm, which is a huge issue for them. This is our hardware. It's almost all off the shelf, except for that metal frame, which is custom. Everything else is built from off-the-shelf components. That's because we're not focusing on the hardware. We're focusing on the AI service revenue that we're going to pull in, both from weeding but more importantly from fertilization. So we've started off late last year. We got $600K from an investment from large farmers, from farm equipment dealers who see the value of this technology. We've used that to develop a lot of farmer outreach. We have pre-orders for 12 robots. We have 15,000 acres signed up for next year, which is a lot more than we can handle. And we've partnered with a major precision ag distributor in the region and starting talks with a second one. So we'll start in one region in Kansas with ourselves, and then we'll use these partners for sales and support as we grow. We talk to farmers every week. We've developed this entire service with deep consultation with farmers, so it's no surprise that they like what we're building. We don't see a problem in selling it as long as it does its job. And so far, we've had it out in the fields in Colorado and in Kansas doing the job, doing the first job, which is spraying, fully autonomous on the robot. And so far, the soil sampling is working off the robot, and we'll get that mounted next year. So we'll have revenue starting next February with those 15,000 acres that we've contracted. And we believe the key reason that we will have adoption is first from the farmer experience. We're going to be setting this hardware in the field and leaving it. Okay, so they're going to be weeding and gathering data from their land, all of their land, all at once. And even with a fully autonomous tractor, you're still moving it from field to field. And usually they're focusing on how many acres per hour we can go. We're focused on how many acres of continuous coverage can we get with affordable piece of hardware. So right now for weeding, one 17K robot covers 300 acres continuously. And by continuously, we mean every 8 days, which is the time needed to kill the weeds before it produces seed, therefore cutting the cycle. We're also focused on not only cutting the cost, which we will do by reducing herbicide, reducing fertilizer, but also increasing yield, right? By putting down the exact right amount of fertilizer, not only going to save fertilizer, but in some cases you'll put down more and expanding the yield. This is completely possible because we see within our own farmers yield maps. From one end of the field to another, there might be a 2x difference in yields. So just by normalizing a field, we'll have a major increase in yield.
10 seconds.
We're starting with weeding at about a 65% margin, then moving the next year to precision fertilization, and later to cover cropping. Thank you.
Yeah, I can kick this off. Thank you for that presentation. Quick question. I mean, it seems like your strongest attribute is the modeling that your AI can provide. Do you see those competitor lists on your last slide as potential clients in the future? How does that play out for your future roadmap and growth?
Yeah, that is what we see as the main value of the company in the long term. So right now, they're basically in Kansas and Colorado. The farmers have no options for continuous weeding. But you can see by all the presentations today, in 5 years, there's going to be a lot more options for automated weeding that's going to provide the same cost savings that we are. So the gathering of this data is the core of what we're doing. And if we have all of this data, all these soil samples, millions and millions by then, this model will be the value that keeps us going.
Thanks for the presentation. Can you talk a little bit more about how much you've done in field? You said you can use the Rover Max in no-till row crop. Really? Can you tell me more about validating? What kind of field trials have you done? How many units do you, maybe non-commercial units, but where are you in terms of that?
2 different robots that we've tested in we have about 6,000 acres in Colorado that we have access to. So we've done a mix of corn, millet, wheat, and so far. Actual spraying in only about 40 acres, but we have proof that it's killing the weed. But yeah, the Rover Max, for example, can get through all of that with ease, if that was your skepticism.
I've gotten a lot of robots stuck in fields, so okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
About 115?
You'd mentioned that you're using kind of a dealer network to help support with distribution and support. And with this machine out continuously in the field, if something does happen where it stops, how are you managing that with the customer, and how are they able to kind of troubleshoot that so that it can continue to be utilized?
Right. So with this partner, we're giving them a pretty sizable cut of the hardware sales, but also a small piece of the AI service revenue. So they are motivated to keep those things running. And so they will be our first level support. They have the relationship with the farmers, which is how we do the sales to begin with. And also they're expected, they sell Trimble and everything. They're expecting to troubleshoot these entire systems that include their products. So they're actually excited because now with something like this, they get to start selling the primary thing, not the add-on, right? And you probably know that modern ag is in your area.
10 seconds. It's about time.
Thank you.
So Smart Machine, we're a New Zealand-based business. We build robots and provide data insights. They're the future of safe, efficient, and sustainable high-value crops. We started this journey back in 2019 alongside a large global corporate, Pernod Ricard, who was really battling to manage their assets and vineyards in New Zealand as a direct result of labour pressures. So we looked at the global market opportunity, and we realised it's not unique. Availability, cost, quality affects growers across the board in horticulture in various ways. It's a significant problem, and it's making it to the point that people are, very tight margins and finding it hard to consider what business looks like in 5 to 10 years. Our approach was to use technology, automation, smarter machine design and implement design and integration of those, and then also engagement with the growers in both the problem solving and the design decision-making processes to make sure that the propositions we were putting forward had value, were able to be integrated at scale. So it's with pleasure I introduce Oxen. This is the world's most functionally advanced autonomous robot in this space. We've been able to deliver all of the functions required to genuinely replace tractors, which is, it's a huge high benchmark. But not only that, we've been able to do combinations of tasks that can't currently be performed with tractors. This means we can reduce overall fleets, we can increase efficiencies, we can get more work done with less. We've been able to deploy these productively in New Zealand and Australia and now demonstrate them in the US in some of the toughest conditions. On this video, you'll see the oxen running around in 40% plus slopes in Napa Valley. We're in Mildura in Australia, where it's dusty, 130-degree days, connectivity denied, sprawl canopies that you can't see down roads, and we've been able to safely and productively deliver these products into those environments. Not only that, I think, when we talk about autonomy, a lot of people talk about the navigation stack, and, our team's done a fantastic job of putting a comprehensive stack together that navigates these spaces safely. But for us, it's more about the implements and the jobs you're doing while you're driving. We've tried to close the loop on that implement control. It's a really important part, and I think we're walking that fine line between integration of existing implements, but in a way that is safe. We're monitoring those implements, the work that we're doing, and we're able to stop the machine and let an operator know if something isn't right, if we're going to damage machine, implement, infrastructure, or crop, and that's a super important part of autonomy. So what does this mean for the grower? It means that we can potentially reduce the labour fleet required to manage this sort of machinery in the space by 70%. It means we can reduce the overall machinery fleet sizes by 30%, which has a huge impact on things like R&M budgets, fleet emissions, and between those two things, it has a significant operational cost savings. When growers are at a point in time where, margins are tighter than ever, these sorts of benefits are, significant. How do we know this? The reality is we've delivered it. So we've sold 21 machines to date. We've deployed those in New Zealand and Australia across 30,000 acres. Had some great early adopter partners that are seeing these benefits. We now have established a great relationship in the US with Polanco America, who's going to distribute this product for us in this market. We just ran some demos together and with great success. And we have a pretty aggressive rollout plan here in the US now. In Australia, we're starting to explore some of these alternative crop opportunities outside of viticulture, so nuts, citrus, avocados. We're the only machine on the market at the moment that can deploy that large format spraying that these sorts of growers need to be productive, as well as do some of these other activities. We also won the New Zealand High Tech Awards as the most innovative agri-tech solution this year, which, as I'm sure all you know as innovators, it's nice to have an opportunity to celebrate, some victories. What does it mean for the company? We've bootstrapped this business for the last 6 years through revenue, but also non-dilutive funding, which we have great access to in New Zealand and Australia, and also a small amount of seed capital. But we're starting to push through now that we've been able to, prove out the technology into our growth phases. And I think that's the exciting opportunity for investors to get on board with us now and help that scaled opportunity. We've put together a great team. Our business model in New Zealand and Australia is to try and own the entire value chain, so manufacturing, R&D, sales, service and support. We're looking to different business model here in the US and potentially as we look to Europe and South America, aligning with distribution partners who can help us accelerate that growth into these markets. We've got 23 employees plus 3 founders at the moment, so still a fairly small team. Lets us be dynamic, but yeah, very much in the process of looking to scale that out now. Why us? Why now? We've functionally got the most advanced robot in this space. We've got some good IP and some first mover advantage. We genuinely are in a position that we can start to roll this out at scale with growers. And I think that's fairly unique in this market. We've got a comprehensive team with great experience that would take years to replicate. We've got a huge amount of support from New Zealand and Australian agencies that provide not only non-dilutive funding, but great access to the market and the customer voice as well. I don't know, New Zealand and Australia, we've got much less prohibitive legislation at the moment in this space, which lets us accelerate R&D, gives us access to much bigger productive trial opportunities. The dollar genuinely goes further. We can do a lot more with a lot less. And I think the journey we've been on is sort of evidence of that. There's an opportunity now to join us as we scale. The hardest part about being a New Zealand startup is getting out of New Zealand. So now that we've got some opportunities here to, make the most of the US market, we're really looking to start to leverage these relationships and get some people on the cap table that can support us through this next stage of growth. So we do have currently an open round. We've had great support from our existing investors, but we have left a big chunk of that cap table to hopefully bring in some early stage strategics who can help us over the next 12 to 18 months as we push towards a Series A and really look to scale the product out. I think, if you get on board now, there's also some opportunities to help with that strategy and the guidance on where we go and how we do this well.
Thank you, that's time.
So thanks. Any questions?
Apologies if I missed this, but can you talk a little bit more about the business model, how you're approaching that?
Yeah, so at the moment we're selling machinery and then building a service and licensing on top, as well as some value-add data, actionable insights on top of that. So lots of it at the moment is operational insights, how you be more efficient with your operation, but also looking to work with third parties who might have, additional, pest and disease identification or yield estimation stuff, and start building that out as a value proposition. So it's that ecosystem, I think, that sort of really helps that pushing forward. But sell machinery, service and licensing on top.
And then what's been the farmer kind of reaction or conversation to that approach?
I think there's a general acceptance around it now to some extent. US is a really interesting market where, the transition from labour-intensive operations to mechanised or automated is happening very quickly. But the reality is that, I think any company who's playing in this technology space and needs to deploy, some level of service and support over and above what's a traditional tractor is going to have to follow that in some form. I think the important part is just being transparent about that, engaging the grower in that conversation and making sure that the overall value proposition is being looked at. And it's not just isolated pieces of that. Growers need to know what this whole thing looks like. And it's not just the tractor or the robot, but it is that data, that service and support, R&M budgets, what other additional infrastructure they need to support this sort of technology.
Thank you.
Question. So you mentioned some favorable regulatory in Australia. What are those hurdles here in the US and how do you plan to overcome them?
I genuinely don't think the hurdles are, the guidelines we've seen, that have been worked alongside with Cal OSHA around how you navigate autonomously in these sorts of environments, I think fit really nicely into our operational model. It's things like ensuring that it's not a workplace, that you're isolating people from from those regions, having visibility around that, which is great. I think the risk is where that legislation ends up. And so, we've obviously got it flagged as a risk at our governance level, but I think as long as the right people are a part of that conversation, it's genuine that the availability and costs of labour are going to put people out of business. And so, we need to be doing the right things, and you'd hope that common sense and the right people in the conversation really help push that into the right space. But
20 seconds.
All right. I'm Tom Bowe, Amos Power. I'm not used to standing still, so if I start to move the podium, you'll understand why. I'm just used to keep on moving. But we named the company after my grandpa, Amos. Grandpa Amos was a dairy farmer, and there was a couple things that reminded us about our tractor. He was hardworking, he was straightforward, and that's what we wanted, a very hardworking, straightforward tractor platform. And I also included a picture of my co-founder, my wife Jody, and she reminds me all the time to quit talking about tractors, but that's what I'm paid to do today. So let's talk about tractors. The next slide would be up to me.
Okay, so next one will build boats.
So the labor industry, we've heard in the industry out there in ag industry right now, we definitely have a shortage of labor, and we're trying to solve that. The other problem we have is efficiencies. So while we're out there, and I look at my back row, I think if they were driving a tractor for 8 hours, they probably already sleeping and they ran into a tree. But efficiencies using computers can really improve where we're at in the field. So we want to definitely improve reducing the labor contact that's out in the ag, and then also improving the efficiency. And then we get this from especially the California growers. The California growers tell us that the market is a very dangerous area. There's a lot of hills, mountains, and things like that. So we're looking to reduce rollovers. We're trying to get the operator out of the spray contact, and safety is definitely a key to improving the tractor. So our team focused on hardware. A lot of teams we saw out in the industry were focused on the software. A lot of them were putting the software on top of other people's platforms. They had no access to the vehicle controls. They had just access to the navigation. We wanted to be able to have control of the entire vehicle, and we went about this looking at the tractor. If we were to build essentially a Roomba of ag, how would we build a tractor that was fully autonomous? And so we looked at designing for autonomy, key, and then we used electric power. The electric power, we get this from investors, is EVs seem to be failing daily. How is your electric tractor going to enter the market and not fail? The value of electric power isn't to the grower as much as it is to the autonomy. We utilize that electric power to improve our autonomy. So that is key to this vehicle and its vehicle platform. And then we also looked at modularity. We wanted to be able to access multiple industries in the ag industry beyond just one market. So I talk about the platform. Our platform does have 5 different patents. 3 of them are on the utility patent, 2 are on the aesthetics, to try to protect some of the other utilities in the vehicle. We are, for the most part, the only electric tractor right now that is split up the horsepower into multi-motors. So our multi-motor platform, we have 2 50 horsepower motors that drive the traction unit, and we have a 50 horsepower unit that drives the PTO. It's fully independent, no clutching, no transfer of power from one big engine up front through a system. We actually looked at the vehicle. How would you build this vehicle? The most efficient way to build a tractor, and an electric tractor. We're less than a total of 1,000 parts. And then we looked at the modularity. How do we enter more than one market? The tractor is so simple, we can actually change a few brackets, and we go from a vineyard tractor that's 4 feet wide out to a row crop tractor that's 80-inch track spacing and it's got 22-inch ground clearance, and there's only 3 or 4 parts that change. That was our focus on the tractor, is make it easy enough that all the growers could take a look at it and reconfigure it to their needs. So we're actually a little bit different. We are running a seed round, but at the same time, my wife, that you saw earlier, has been my biggest investor. Well, she didn't really know that until I just told her, but she allowed us to invest in the tractor, and we ran the tractor program for almost 3 years. We are building 5 production units. We've got a sale of 13 units that have already been spoken for, and those 5 units will go to the customer. The actual first 5 units were actually profitable. We were at $197,000 for the build price, and we were at $225,000 for the list price. Of that 195,000, most of the high cost was in sheet metal and structural, things that are going to be fairly easy to bring down the cost as we move forward into higher volumes. So I did talk a little bit about the seed round. We are raising $5 million. We've got about $2 million spoke for. We just started that round in October. We're moving towards, most of that is going to be invested in our software. We did bring software. As much as I talk a lot about hardware, I believe the hardware needed to change to improve the software, and when we took control of that software and brought it in-house as well. I talk fast and I'm efficient, just like my tractor. Questions?
One.
Hi, Tom. Thank you. So you were saying that the electric portion of it was actually more for the functionality of the autonomy, but what has been the feedback from farmers? Is it also demanded? What's the acceptance of that kind of additional, great change?
And so I'm a Midwestern farmer, and I'm used to diesel, and the first thing I notice is how clean it is. And the second thing I've noticed about it is how much I like electric power. When I only need 8 hours of use, I just go out and send it out, and it does the 8 hours, and it comes back. In the California market, we get a lot of interest in electrification, but we're starting to even get more of that interest in the Midwest, where organics, we see a lot of people that do the same operation over and over, guys that are mowing waterways, and they find a tractor that can just mow the waterway, come back in and plug in. That's what we're targeting as well in the Midwest.
Awesome. And you started to answer one of my second questions, which is, what are some of the ideal tasks that you're seeing kind of performed with this machine?
So our early research was sitting and visiting with growers over a glass of wine in the California market. And one of the biggest things we heard was, don't throw my utilities out. Don't throw out all my implements. I want just a new tractor. I don't want to start over. So we do have a Category 2 hitch. We have a 50 horsepower PTO that's running at 540 PTO. And so we put mowers, we put row crop or cover crops. We've done planting. We can pull an 8-row planter fairly easily in the Midwest as long as the ground's fairly flat. But as you can tell, the tractor was designed for steep grade. I farm in the Midwest, and surprisingly, my grade is over 35%. Shouldn't probably be farming it because it's soft soils.
3 minutes.
Where in the Midwest are you based, and how are you servicing, it's really different to service the Midwest market versus the California specialty crop market. Tell me a little bit about how your business plan looks and use of funds kind of.
So I spent 30 years independent designing tractors for John Deere. So my office is right across the street from John Deere, and so we're in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And basically what I felt was that the large ag was going to neglect autonomy. They were going to utilize their base platform, and they were going to use it as semi-autonomous. We'd drive it sometimes, you'll push a button sometimes, but we're not going to dive straight in and start over.
So on the go-to-market, just to Connie's question, so you're going to start in the Midwest? You're going to move to specialty?
Actually, we've actually got a manufacturer out here in California that we're working with, and we haven't officially announced that partnership, but the 5 tractors are being built here in the Midwest, or in California, and we're over in Modesto, and we have an office in Ceres, and we plan to build and manufacture here when we can, and the tractor is fairly straightforward that if we want to move to Mexico, we'll build and develop for the Mexican market or the Canadian market because the tractor's so straightforward to build.
Okay. So if I'm buying a weeding robot or I'm buying a harvest assist like a Burrow, I use my grower math hat and play against the labor I save, right? So either more efficient harvest crew or better weeding operation on the math side. What's the math play out for the average Amos grower on that electric tractor? What line does it improve on their spreadsheet?
It's going to improve fuel. We took it out and I mowed. I had an old pasture that we let grow all summer long, mowed it for 10 hours straight, and we used $14 worth of electric power. If I'd have done that with a diesel tractor, I'd have been well over $100. So the fuel is definitely going to be there. And then the reliability, service, I'm telling you, when you look at the tractor, you're just like, okay, it's motors and track. So they're not going to see all those service parts and the extra warranty that you'd see in a transmission.
So it's a cost of ownership argument.
Cost of ownership.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Tom.
I don't do this alone. I work together with 25 colleagues of mine from the agricultural field up to the electronics and the software field. So this is the product. It's a Robot 1. It is equipped with lasers to zap weeds when it sees them. It's trained by AI. It has, this one has 10 laser units, but you can go up to 48 laser units of 100 watts. When you see a weed, it points the laser at it and runs it. Now, this is the unit running in Germany, 6 meter 20 wide, can run up to 2 hectares per hour, basically burning down the weeds that go there, keeping it clean in an industrial environment. So that's what we're trying to do, basically grow food without chemicals. The AI is trained to detect weeds from the crop. When it sees the difference, then it simply burns it away using the weed, leaving nothing behind, so you have no residue. Not touching the soil to start a new weed. So when you don't touch it, don't start a new weed. It's quite simple. We do this at an operation, or a couple of operations. We have 7 units sold in 2024, running at roughly 2,000 hectares. Now, there's a couple of competitors, of course, that help us come to a non-chemical world. You see a couple of them on the sides down here. They're all nice machines doing great jobs without smart technology inside, so no vision and no detection models. You have to plug things into it. Now, there is, of course, an alternative from Carbon, from the US. We have a similar thing, but the main advantage is from the machine that we have is that it's only roughly 2.5 tons, or what is it, 5,000 pounds in weight, which is a big thing for soil compaction. If you want to drive in wet conditions, this thing will drive. The second thing is that the AI models, you have an academy with this thing to train your own AI model. The data is yours, it's not owned by anybody else. So when you train the machine with yourself, your corporation, you own the model. So you don't have to pay anything to have that model. The last nice thing about this machine, it only costs $385,000 for the small unit, which also is quite pleasant if you want to have a good ROI on the machine. So, what's our strength? We come from Holland. The Dutch are good in agriculture, something in a similar way as we have in California down here, so that helps in solving these problems. It's a sustainable solution. It's solar-powered vehicle, battery-backed, but if you want to run 24 hours, you can add a range extender, basically run 26 hours on 100 liters of diesel, which is quite nice. So why do we love California? Well, this is one of the reasons. It's a $3 billion market. Of that, 51,000 acres are baby leaf lettuces, which we target mostly with the current robot. One Robot 1 can do 5,000 acres of baby leaf, which means we need to put 200 of these units down here in California. That's what we need help with. That's why I'm here. So, why are we here? Similar challenges as we have in the Netherlands, so we can bring the expertise that we have to California and help it solve the problem down here. We're a first mover in the Dutch market. Been there since 2019. I have some expertise on it. We have 15 units running, 7 sold last year, so that's where the traction came for us. So we're into production to sell this stuff. Yeah, that's roughly what I want to say about this one. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a partner or partners who can help us get this working in the US. Want to work together, it requires some time and some money to do this in the right way. We believe that this technology is not just put into the market. You need to have a proper infrastructure from knowledge workers, people who have farms, who can implement this on their farm and then sell them to other farms. That's what I'm looking for. So,
1 minute.
Thank you. I'm Aran Koekoek.
Thanks, Aaron. So the obvious question, we just saw yesterday that Carbon Robotics put a big 70 million fundraise on the table. Have you come head to head with them in markets, and how does that generally go? Or are you like, what's the strategy relative to them as kind of an established in the market competitor? How are you going to play around them or against them?
I'm very happy that they're there. I think they proved that the CO2 laser is an option to solve the problem. I think the market is huge, so that's very good. They are very heavy, and that's a problem. What we see in Europe is that their units sink in the mud. We don't have that issue. Also, this doesn't need a tractor. It's an autonomous machine, so you can drive 5 units with one operator. So this gives you a capacity of 10 hectares per hour when you have the big 6-meter unit, which is the same size as the Carbon, but you have a much lower cost. Also, when you look at the price point, which we can build it, and I don't know why they cost so much the way they do it, probably make a lot of profits on that. I'm very happy with my profit margins. We don't need that money. We want to get the chemicals out of here, and we really want to do this.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, can you talk a little bit about maintenance and operation? How's that working for you?
Yeah, so the way we made it is a fully modular system. We call it the upgradable model. So the entire machine is made of modules which are connected with one network connectivity and one power connector, and then roughly 6 bolts. Instead of having the farmer maintain it, he can simply refurbish it. So what happens when we, in our system, see that the unit wears out, you will probably get a message, well, we're sending a new unit to you, which you can mount, ship us back the old one, we'll refurbish it for you, you'll get charged the service fee that's needed to update that module. Same goes for the laser modules. They wear out every 2,000 hours. You'll get a message from us, and then a week before it's worn out, you'll get the box sent to you, ship the other one back. That's the way we want to scale out. Of course, we do need the partner to have some parts in place to get to the American market because of the time it takes to ship overseas.
20 seconds.
Yeah, so for the software updating, it's of course a smart system, though that's updatable over the air, so all modules can be updated from our home office down here to update the units. Yeah.
That's time.
Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah, CEO and co-founder of Barnell Precision Ag. We deploy small farm robots as a service to help small farmers secure our food supply, save our climate, and rediscover love of the job. When I was a kid, I got to spend every summer on the farm with my grandparents, which is where I decided that farming was the coolest job in the world. Today, small farms are disappearing due to unattainable labor and extreme weather, among a number of different issues. And these growers grow 40% of our active U.S. food supply and are 88% of growers. We need them to support our communities and feed our economies. Farming is in our blood. We come from the farm. We're from La Junta, Colorado, but I have a family history of farming throughout the Midwest, in Arkansas and Missouri, and a number of other places. We have sold our farm because we couldn't find the labor. My aunts and uncles went to college, didn't end up coming home, and we had no other option. Even today, the cost of production, weather, and farm income is the challenge, and that's why our growers are stopping. So we are deploying multitask small farm robots called the Autonomous Nano Tractor. This is the ANT class of farm equipment, and it's a practical unit to give farmers the advantage. Our unique thing is that we send over a drone, we create a digital twin for the robot to go out and perform tasks. That way the growers, the robot, and everybody in between can communicate from that same map. That just creates consistency, transparency, but then also creates an efficient fleet management system, reduces our robot unit costs, and then adds that value through the aerial data. So how does it work? You pick our ant, and then you decide what you need. So it's a autonomous nano tractor and an implement. Within that implement, you can have a weeding tool that can cut through early weeds and also really late-stage resistant pigweed. You can buy a single unit, or you can adopt our fleet management system and buy multiple and deploy alongside your labor with different tasks. We create local service hubs and operators to ensure that we have the support that's needed, but also that talent within the region knows the region better than anybody else, and we won't pretend that we do. So our weeding tool, we call it the barrel of death, and it is that exactly for pigweed, but everything else. We can get through really early, really late stage, and then we add that spray technology on it because getting that chemical into the cell wall fixes the problem. We also have a proprietary fleet management software, and then, of course, we are BOPA and the ant class. So who is this great for? High input fruit, vegetable, kind of tomatoes, edible dry beans. 1 million field labor workers, so use this alongside the team that you already have to leverage them. Humans don't need to be weeding at all. Anything other than that, and this can do that. In Colorado, we're seeing per acre weeding costs between $140 and $250 per acre, and that can, on the season, really add up. And so we deploy between $55 and $75 per acre per visit, but again, that's the fleet service model. So we're creating 50% savings on labor and then 30% in inputs. For our fleet management, you become a certified operator. We give you incredible training, and then you can go and provide this within your region. We give you a discount on the unit, but that unit is the tractor and the implement that runs on computer vision and your tool. This creates additional savings throughout the supply chain from the field all the way to the additional people within the region. We do have competition, a lot of really great companies here, a lot outside demoing right now. We're happy to participate with them and leverage what they know, but also, we have a really small unit, it's low cost, simple operations onboarding, and we are modular so you can adjust as it continues. We establish these service hubs, and we connect with the FFA and 4-H talent because this is the programs that we also came from. And so we want to train those education systems, create those internships within those rural communities because, again, that's where these robots are living and working. We work with Farm Bureau, FSA, just because we don't know everything. But using the ecosystem, then we can deploy the best solution possible. Our team is myself, my brother Jaron, and my husband Brian, and we are PhDs in this problem. We do not have backgrounds necessarily in robotics. We did teach ourselves everything we know, and then we went out and hired a really incredible team to support the stability, the scale, the computer vision, and the infrastructure of our system. We have incredible partners and investors. Colorado Department of Ag, CSU does trials with us, and then we have raised a little bit of venture capital. We were your 2024 Farm Bureau Ag Innovation Challenge winners. We brought our robot to the competition in front of 4,500 farmers and ranchers, and it was very well received. We're here today, and then we'll also be working with CSU to start some trials in 2025. So of the individual ant units, we have sold 6 of 10 for 2024. And then we're also going to be deploying a large fleet over edible dry beans and potentially sugar beets in the northeast region of Colorado. So our crops, edible dry beans, sugar beets, potatoes, and then we could do tomatoes and peppers as well. Our ask is to help build the ant class of farm equipment. We closed our round, luckily, but we do still have a little bit room open for strategic partners, and if you're interested to buy an ant or buy a fleet, just let me know.
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm using this correctly. Can you speak a little bit to your costs of units and pricing and all that jazz for maybe margins as well? I think we heard that in some of the others.
Yeah, so we're building with the ant and the implement, which is an automated implement with computer vision. The whole thing is just under 17 grand. So that 35 unit sales cost, but we're adjusting that as we outsource manufacturing as well. Right now we do it all in-house.
Can you speak to how long or how many acres you've covered running units in these fields as a test?
Yeah, so the unit for that one that you saw, the 2024 version, was deployed over about 500 acres driving. On that weeding tool, we've done successfully about 4. That was a logistics problem because we need to coordinate the irrigation systems with when the robots can be in the field, and they just didn't have that. I had to call, and we couldn't deal with it. But the tool works really well, and now we're figuring out that logistics system to go out and scale for that 15,000 acres.
2 minutes left.
All right, I'll ask another question. Can you talk a little bit about your service kind of model and like the kind of, I might know too much here, but how do you talk about your kind of hub model and how maintenance looks?
Yeah. So we, for 2024, tried to deploy fully as a service as BOPA managing that fleet. It worked up into a point where I didn't have that communication system. So now for 2025, we're shifting to a fleet sales model. So now one of my farmers will buy a fleet, and they will not reduce their H2A staff. They will use that next to them. That fleet is $200,000, a 5-year life, and then we give them the training. We set up that hub, and we create that constant service for the robot, but also user-operator training, and then that internship using what we are in Colorado is Skills Advanced program, if anybody's interested. Thank you very much.